Hello and welcome to another episode of Launch Legends. Today we're joined by Przemek of Contentyze. Contentyze is an AI article builder that can produce huge amounts of content within minutes. So much so that in 1 month, Przemek was able to produce over 100,000 unique articles. Przemek talks about how the evolution of AI is going to replace copywriters in future. But before we continue, if you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. And if you're listening to this on a podcast, please subscribe and leave a review. Hey, Przemek, thank you very much for coming on the show. So I hope I got your name right. Is it Przemek, right?
It's Przemek. Yeah, it's correct. Thanks for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. So you're building an impressive platform. And I know you used the platform to create like 100,000 articles just last month. AI, content creator, article creators. I'd love to talk about that. I know you just launched not long ago and you've got about 5,000 in revenue. And let's talk about how you got there. And but before everything, I would love to talk about who you are. I know you have a very impressive background. So let's talk about who you are and how you actually got here. And then let's talk about the platform.
Sure. So I have very academic background. I mean, for most of my life, I was a mathematician. I did my PhD in pure mathematics in Paris. And then after 5 years in Paris, I actually went to become a research fellow at University of Oxford, where I lectured for 2 years. And then at some point, I decided that, okay, I want to make the switch from academia to business and from pure mathematics to machine learning to AI. In order to have a little bit more impact on the world than people in academia usually have. And also because I'm much more fast-paced than the usual academic, and I love to have this much faster feedback loop. So I love to do something and see the outcome of what I'm doing, or have the people giving me their opinion on what I'm doing much faster than waiting for a year or more in order for someone to read your research paper and then comment on that. So I had this idea in mind to actually go into AI, and that was pretty natural for me because my domain of mathematics was really very technical, and there are already people thinking about, okay, can we make the whole process of actually reading the proofs, understanding mathematics easier, better for mathematicians? So it was natural to think about automation of this cognitive process of doing research. And from there was previous works of Vladimir Voevodsky, one of the field medalists. So that's an equivalent of Nobel Prize. And I went this path. And then at some point I said, okay, this is great. I'm going into that direction all the way through. And basically I landed on the other side with machine learning. So this is how it started for me with machine learning. And on the other hand, I was always very keen on literature and writing. So that was always my hobby to read a lot. And then I started writing at some point, publishing my first books. So in the meantime, I was looking for something where I could connect the two. And Contentyze is, the fruit of that. Basically, Contentyze is both words coming together.
Przemek, so when you were the research fellow, when you actually first got into AI eventually, what year was that?
Let me count. That was 2014, and I was at Oxford from 2014 to 2016. Okay, so the machine learning, has that progressed from that time? And it's not that long ago, but I know AI is progressing at a very fast pace. Has that progressed from that time to now? What kind of changes have you seen? Yeah, sure, a lot. But actually, if you look back historically at this third wave of AI, because we already have 2 AI revolutions in I guess the first one was in the 60s, the second one was somewhere around in the 80s, but it just didn't deliver on its promises, the whole AI industry, because there was not enough of computing power to do it. So actually the third revolution, the one we know it and everyone is, in what AI can do, that started in 2012. So that was very recent. So I was already at Oxford when I heard from different friends of mine who are doing computer science that there's something happening and probably you should look at that because there's so many interesting problems there and there's so much potential in doing that. But still, 2014, when I started being at Oxford, that was still very early days for this third wave of AI machine learning. And there was like huge progress from 2014-16 to where we are right now. We're actually, and everyone understands that AI is the future. It's already everywhere, but it's becoming even more ubiquitous with time.
Great. So I know before Contentyze, you built something else. What was that? The interview platform.
Yeah. So that was the first step to Contentyze. I had also two other startups that failed before Contentyze. One was last mile delivery. That was like Glovo or Postmates, if you're familiar with those. And that was basically so something like Uber, but for everything else than people and food. So we wanted to deliver you could shop somewhere and we could deliver your shopping, or you forgotten your key at the office and we could drive that for you. So that was the first part. The second startup, and we underestimated our costs for the whole thing, so it failed. The second startup was super technical. We used quantum computers to optimize logistics and transportation. Mm-hmm. And that was really cool. We did that with my co-founder in Toronto. We went through Creative Destruction Lab. That's an accelerator in Toronto. Mm-hmm. That was really exciting. That actually failed from a different reason. We're extremely early in the market. That's the first thing. So we had really a lot of trouble getting our first traction clients. And on the other hand, we had very different views on where the company should go. Should we be more like product based or service based? So in the end, we split over that. So that was before Contentyze, and then we come to PetaCrunch, which is this interview platform you mentioned. And the reason I started that was after my second startup failed, with this one with quantum computers, I was curious about, how people approach building a successful company. So I wanted to ask a couple of founders of really successful companies how they did it, and what are the tips they might have for me. And instead of just so I started to email those people, but then I thought about, I was always thinking about how can I automate this process? How can I make it better, faster? And I decided, okay, so maybe I can try to do this platform where there will be AI journalists and they can ask people to actually those kind of questions that I want to know. So those were typical questions asked to different companies who actually raised at least 1 million euros or much more. And the questions were how did it all start? What's your plan for next 2-3 years? What are you going to do with the funding? And so on. There were 5 major questions. And it went great. So actually, I automated the whole thing, and I managed to interview 1,000 founders in 3 months, basically.
But Przemek, that sounds really interesting. I actually can think of a use case for myself. So, for example, as a founder, I'm always interviewing potential customers and my customers. Right. As well. So straight away, there's a use case I can see. So could you break down what you actually did? How did you, when you said you created an AI journalist, what was that journalist?
Sure. So there are 2 components to that, I guess. First of all, you need data. And in this case, the data is what kind of founders you want to interview, and that's it. So I managed to get that because that's more or less public. It's public. Everyone is happy when they raise a round. So that was easy to get. The data, but
you're from Crunchbase, or where did you?
Yeah, Crunchbase is perfect for that kind of thing. Okay. And they have open API once you pay the subscription fee. So that's super simple. So I just have that already exported in CSV format. So that's perfect. And on the other hand, you need to automate the process of asking for the interview and know what you offer. Okay. And that's in this case, that was super simple because that was a 2-step process, basically, where you write in an email saying something like, "Hi, congratulations on your recent funding round. I'd love to interview your CEO." And usually that goes to the general email that's public. And then if someone responds, then based on whether that's yes or no, you either send the questions or that's it. You do nothing.
Okay, so here's a question. what was your criteria for yes or no? Because that could come back in so many different ways. Was it back that your bot, your AI was actually determining whether that's a yes or a no?
Yeah, so actually, there was actually 3 categories: yes, no, maybe. And I mean, I did the most simple thing. So when it's no, it's no. I did nothing. When it's yes, the bot sent the questions right away. And when it's maybe, so like whereas there's like, like it's undecisive, or maybe there's like additional question from the founder or from the team, then I jumped in and answered that question manually.
Okay, and what kind?
But because the whole process was like. Sorry.
Yeah, you carry on.
The whole process was like semi-automatic, in the sense that I still needed to put a little bit of work, but it was much faster, and still like I was really able to like interview 1,000 founders in 3 months, which is like impossible if you were to do it manually in any way. But the most painful part was actually the end of it, because all those teams were sending the interviews in different formats. Some were like just answers in the email, some were like sending me PDF files, doc files, or whatever else they had. And that was really a pain, because I had to go through everything and put that to the WordPress. So there was like, it would be equally complicated to actually do an AI which could read everything and just, like put it on the website. So I decided I will do it manually.
Great. So what did you do after that? Why did you not pursue that as an idea?
So it's still working to some extent, but the problem from my perspective was that, how do I monetize it? Like, what can I do to actually how? And that's still like an open question for me. So the solution to that I came up with is, right now PetaCrunch is still working. You can still see those interviews, and if you want to have an interview with PetaCrunch, then actually you can pay for that, and the price is like a pricing of $99 to do that. And it's working. I mean, it's earning money, but it's not like, I think it's like a couple $100 per month, basically.
Got it.
So that's like, so, but the question is how to do it in a way to make it a meaningful business. And I didn't have an answer to that.
Yeah. As you're telling me that, I'm actually thinking, okay, that could be like a productized service where you could come to someone like me who needs to get a lot of data from real people, potential customers of mine, and then I could just delegate that to you and say, look, okay, I need 1,000 people to answer these questions. So could you please go and get that done for me? And I would pay a good amount of money for that, because that data is very valuable. I don't need the data to be published anywhere. I just need the data so I can analyze in.
Right. But yeah, so I was thinking about that, and actually I like a couple of people contacted me about this kind of things, but it would be all like very custom made, like it would have been tailored to your needs. And I would, like that's more like a consulting from my perspective than like having an actual product that I can sell. Mm-hmm. So, I didn't want to do that because that's not scaling well. I mean, I would have to put my own time in each such a project.
Great. But, let's talk about Contentyze. It's a great platform. I would love to hear about that. How did that come about? And how did you build it?
Yeah, so like the next, so after PetaCrunch and after this whole interview service, I knew that I wanted to go more into like the content direction and start generating also content at scale. I already had like a semi-successful Medium blog with like 3,000 followers, and it's still growing. So my first goal was to try to build a solution for myself that I could use in order to boost my own writing and make my writing faster, smoother, and so on. So I started experimenting with those kind of algorithms and started putting much more text online. And this is how Contentyze actually started. I mean, it started with a tool for myself to boost my own writing. And then I remarked that actually I can make it into a SaaS platform. And this is a perfect product to start selling online to anyone who's actually working with copywriting, SEO, marketing.
Okay, got it. So just to break it down, how does a product work in terms of technology? Because anyone who needs fresh content, they're thinking about the authenticity of the content, just to make sure that it's not plagiarize? Obviously, that's not happening in your platform, but how did you make sure that your content is 100% unique and it can be used for different purposes?
Sure. So those kind of algorithms that I'm using on the platform are based on statistics, in the sense that each article is generated from scratch. It's not like the algorithm is trying to fetch the content from different websites and like spin the content and then give you that. It's trying to generate sentence by sentence and word by word, whatever you ask of. So to give you an example, there are two main functionalities of the platform. The first one being that you supply a headline, and it can be a question, a title of the article, like I don't know, like what's the how to run a successful marketing campaign on social media, right? And then the algorithm itself is actually taking that and trying to predict the next sentence, and after that the next sentence. But it has so much variance because, and each time you even write that, you get a different unique text because of the statistics, because the article is not trying to fetch that content from anywhere. It tries to generate it based on what it has read, and it has read like millions of articles, but it's going to generate that word by word.
Got it. So let's go back to the algorithm. How did you train the algorithm to actually do that?
So my first bet was that I just take what's best out there when it comes to open source, try to mix and match that, like basically duct tape everything, like make the MVP of everything. And that worked pretty well. And then on top of that, I started to fine tune the algorithm. And by fine tune, I mean train the whole thing with my own text and add more and more. But actually, the idea here is simple. You're trying to make the algorithm predict the next word. And so you're giving the algorithm like a couple of sentences and asking for the next word to be predicted.
Right.
And once the article actually seen like millions and millions of text, it can generate pretty original content.
Right.
But here's the problem though, with this kind of thing, this kind of approach. It gives you varied content. So you have the content is unique, but actually you should really check what's being generated most of the time, because it can be, it can derail and go like bonkers in like different directions.
So,
but most of the time it's fine.
I heard you say somewhere else that you hire contractors, like writers, to write content on a particular topic, and then you get your product to create the same content just to see how they compare, what the authenticity is like. So when you do that, what kind of differences do you find? Do you find that obviously they're not similar, but the quality is similar, where the content created by your platform is very authentic, and the context is right as well?
Yeah, it is very similar, though there are differences when especially you want to write about something more technical with like actual data. So if you want to start citing like actual sources, then Contentyze can't do it just yet. I mean, we do that for our clients. So there's a little bit of like custom work we do for like enterprise clients, where actually we can fetch data from like different sources. But we don't do that. Like you won't be able to do that just from the off-the-shelf product. So that's one difference. Like if you hire copywriters, they'd be able to like do this research and take data from different sources, different articles, and maybe compile that together. On the other hand, this is for the generation from headline. On the other hand, the other main functionality is summarizing content. And for this purpose, it's like perfect, because if you have a couple of articles that you want to spin, in a sense, then you can just feed that to Contentyze and then get the summaries from those articles.
Right.
Which usually like are great to merge into something bigger.
Yeah, great. I think I know a video creation application that does something very similar, where I think it's called Lumen 5, where you feed it the article.
Oh yeah, I know them. Yeah.
Yeah. So are they using a very similar algorithm, or that's something else?
Oh no, it's something totally different, I would say. No, because actually, so they're doing something different, because they're taking the script from you, and based on the script, they try to create the video.
Mm-hmm.
And this is totally different, because if I were to guess, then they try to go sentence by sentence, try to like get the meaning of the sentence, and maybe attach like a couple of tags, couple of keywords, and based on those keywords, give you an image or a video.
Okay, great.
And then do this like split from like with sentences, you have videos, and then you match them. So it's a little bit different, but the two complements each other pretty well. So actually, I'm a huge fan of Lumen 5, and actually I tested them together with Contentyze in the sense that I generated the script and then feed that into Lumen to get the video.
Okay.
And that was that's really impressive because you have like the video creation totally automated. You can generate the script and you can then feed it to Lumen 5 to have the video.
Great. So a minute ago you said that at the moment you can't really replicate the copywriters where they do the research and they get they find content from a particular article, they obviously get their inspiration from there and then mix it all together, create an article. How soon do you reckon Contentyze is going to be there? What's the process like?
To be honest, I don't think that's the goal to actually. So in the end, my end game is not replacing copywriters. My end goal is to actually make their work much faster, and make their work much easier for them. So in the end, like if you think about it, then if you're already like hiring 5 copywriters, you might need only 1 in the end. And that's the goal, like to save their time, because there will be always like small tasks that it will be too complicated to teach the machine, or that would take too much time and effort from your perspective. Then it's actually better to hire 1 person. So my goal is not to go like, get rid of copywriters and like not have this kind of job. Rather have like cut the rate, cut like how many copywriters you need in the end, and go from 5 to 1.
Right. So one last question, Przemek. So I know you guys are making about 5,000 in revenue, and you said that most of that revenue is coming from actually generating your own content and affiliate offers and actually giving content to your clients. But you're shifting that over to a more SaaS model where you want your paid users to, increase your revenue. So let's talk about how you are generating revenue. Let's break that down. I mean, how do you make money from?
Sure.
How do you make money now? And then what's the plan for the future in terms of growth?
Sure. Like right now, most of the revenue is coming from either advertisements or affiliate links. So because we produce so much content, like when people click through and buy something through that content, then we get a small percentage from that. And that's basically this $4,000 or $5,000 per month. The good thing is that we're slowly shifting to just having the revenue from the SaaS platform, and that's the end goal, to actually leave content to others and maybe like have block or 2, but actually be more on the side of provider of the tool rather than the content. Because both, and the reason for that is, both of them takes a lot of work, and you can't do both very well. And I think like right now it's more important to actually give tools to people rather than try to already think about the content, because I think like there will be a lot of developments in AI in this particular space of copywriting, SEO, that it's still too early to just like monetize all the content. But I think like in a couple of years' time, I probably go into AI generated content only, and that would be the only thing.
Great. So where do you see Contentyze in the next 3 years? Another end goal is to not replace copywriters, but reduce the number of copywriters you would need to maybe 1 or 2. But in terms of technology and features, where do you see that in the next couple of years?
So in the end, so my end goal is to actually have Contentyze being available to anyone, just like. And that can be like a Chrome extension, Google Docs extension. So whenever you are, you don't have to go to the platform, but imagine that you're writing something, whatever that is, and you just click on like suggestion, and Contentyze can suggest you the next sentence, the next paragraph, or like correct your grammar, maybe give you tips about SEO instantaneously, no matter where you are. And that's the goal. So the goal is to go, and that would make it a great product, not only for like copywriters and SEO marketers, but for anyone actually writing. So students, like any kind of professionals that write a lot. And that's my end goal, actually, to make writing much easier for anyone.
Great goal. Przemek, thank you very much, and great product. So I look forward to actually using it myself for my own content, and I hope to have you again on the podcast very soon. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.